There is, of course, a lot to say, to reflect on what could be relevant back to 1996 in the world from before. But I would try to focus on few things. For me, it's about a utopian horizon, and I feel that I could, in my own personal kind of history, I think that I reduce a lot of things, and I feel okay with that. And I know by reducing that, it also shows that I don't know in terms of an like encyclopedical way about the world, and I feel like that's also okay in a way. So I tend to kind of reduce things. So for example, I reduced a lot the history I know about avant-garde art and communism. I kind of put it together. No? For me, these two things are part of the uh, utopian horizon, and I look at it as in the communism happens in like kind of more serious way where there is a revolution and then there is a building a society, which is great. And it's in that sense it's very real, and at the same time avant-garde art is some kind of like whatever the prefigurative practice or like it's kind of, or I like to use also like foreshadowed kind of a gesture, which is kind of inviting people now to join something which might not happen if you didn't do that in your if you didn't invite people for that future to happen. And I feel that in like avant-garde, there is always kind of absurdity present, and that's how something very small could kind of be pretentious, no? So that it can actually go far by making it absurd, because it is absurd if you're like small, if you're like individual, or if you're like a weak part of the world, which is trying to do something in the world. So that's what I kind of think of the world before 1996, and in some way I think that again avant-garde art inviting for communism in my reduced idea of what's there, it's kind of, that means that we are also invited into some kind of abundance. There is enough, no? There is not like we are not we are concerned with the scarcity only when there is a scarcity, when there is a real scarcity. But when it is not, we don't want to reduce ourselves to kind of like exclude anyone from that. And in that sense, yeah, I think that the 90s, or internet mainly, not like 90s, but also internet coming there, it seems to me that that was like a moment in history when some of these things kind of meet there, no? And it seems to me that it meets more than one utopian horizon. So it seems to me that there are like more than one utopian horizon. I subscribe to communism because I think that it's provocative enough. It's kind of like, it challenges. It also makes a great filter. So I just feel that no one anti-communist can really join any utopian horizon. But I agree that there is more than just communist horizon, utopian communist horizon. So in that sense, it seems to me that that was maybe like not the only time, but for sure a moment in history when a different utopian horizons would kind of like coexist, and different kind of people with different backgrounds, different political stance would kind of stand together and look into the future, thinking that that future could be okay. It's kind of sad that what we needed is like to almost completely wipe out communist horizon as possible, no? Like, so it's like a time when No one is really like, maybe Cuba a little bit, and I mean, from our part of the world, from our like our biased whatever position, it seemed that yeah, it's over, no, in that sense. But then there is that internet, and that's where we meet in 1996. It is possible. I think that that in the past the avant-garde gesture was really like, in its absurdity, grandiose, no? So it would go against like the world is like it's not good, no? Like let's wipe out the history. Let's just like burn all of the like whatever the well-established historical, I don't know, artifacts. Let's burn them to the ashes and put it on the shelves into the pharmacy, something like that. So then another one is like with situationists, like it's kind of like this whole world of like spectacle. It's just like it should burn, or like we, you know, like it's kind of like a big thing there, and then you with maybe small gesture is but still grandiose. There is some big world which you really like criticize, and it seems to me that in the 90s maybe that was kind of lost a little bit. But at the same time, it is there. But it seems to me that it kind of shifted. So it kind of it moved a little bit more to liberal in that. It was not anymore a radical left, no, like or like based in historical materialism in that sense. So that if I would like improvise on that, that's maybe what was lost. But anyway, I feel that there is some transition in avant-garde gesture, which we both noticed and had quite some conversations about that, where it seemed to us that the avant-garde gesture would move from like a militant but also absurd and like destructive in that sense, in many times self-destructive, but self-destruction only as a demonstration that destruction is a powerful force to kind of make a good change. And it seems to me that it was transitioning to, at least in our sensibility, into care, and some of the things which in the world should be preserved, so that in some way that it should recognize what was achieved, because it seems to me that if the conditions are not right, that some of the gestures don't make sense. So in some way, you want to do the gesture, which is like avant-garde, and then you see that the conditions are not right, and then you want to take care of these conditions so that you can maybe come back to this, like, or at least to do the fall, to kind of to inherit, but whatever, reinvented for the whatever, like the time specific, no? So I would say like my kind of joke was always to provoke. So I would say like I want to be anarchist in communism, no? So I feel deeply, I resonate with anarchism, but I don't feel that anarchism is always well situated in capitalism. It's very hard to differentiate like from libertarian in that sense, like, and it's kind of the very mean and horrible people or their visions, maybe not people, just maybe they're just wrong, but these kind of visions are kind of like they are easily hiding in something utopian, and I'm like, that's not utopia. So in that sense, I feel that it's very important to take care of these conditions. And then it seems to me that something which feels deeply conservative, deeply kind of like not like a big twist, like let's get rid of the past and just live for the present and the future. that was lost, and then that you can say that um, archiving avant-garde in that sense is avant-garde, like from some moment, and there is no moment there, but it's kind of like transitioning, and I feel that that's what was happening. And then just to follow that, maybe like what happened from that 1996, I feel that for a while it was like playful. It was like absurdity was still playful. You could kind of like perform that, and it felt like for some time, at least for next 10 years after 1996, it felt that maybe that's where it goes. Maybe the communist revolution was not needed. Maybe the transition can happen from there, and then I don't know, like everyone is enthusiastic 10 years later with you, like you could be the one, like everyone is, it's all fully distributed and whatever. And then there was some space, but then it was like just like losing it, and it seems that maybe better kind of events would be like financial crises, but let's say that we took these to tell it through Ubu and whatever. So it seemed that at some moment it's losing that potential, and then what happens is that absurd kind of also like playful and playful in dialectics, it was lost. So it seems to me that in like 2000, maybe 12, 13, with Assange and WikiLeaks, and then with Snowden, it seemed that we are totally moving from any of that like playfulness we can share, and then the abundance is here. It's just like we just forget about it. The abundance is here, and we are fine with that because Spotify. So the abundance is just like served to us by commercial platforms, giants and things like that. And then we just like we are not, we don't care about that anymore. Now we are just like paranoid. The system is horrible. Like even what seemed like funny, and probably it was never funny, like 4chan and whatever, it just stopped being funny. It was just like a fucking nightmare, like it's killing people. It's like, it's misogyny to the bones, like things like that. And we just ended up in like dystopian world in which the absurdity doesn't make sense, because the reality is such a, like everything is absurd and real at the same time. Now I think that in that sense Trump is like, that's, I don't know, like is that absurd? I think that it's absurd to find yourself in the world with Trump even being considered as a candidate, and then he kind of like he runs the superpower, so that's what happened, I would say, with that kind of sensibility of like absurdity and playfulness. Yeah, we are deeply in that kind of we are deeply in a present where even our worst nightmares are possible. So it seems to me that the world was kind of resilient to that for a while, and now everything is possible in every possible sense. It's like I don't want to go with the list. I think that anyone can kind of feel it. Like just name the field, and it's in its worst. Like I would just say one thing: like nuclear power nation states are in last 5 years had, in my opinion, their worst historical moment. So they have a nuclear missiles, and they have absolutely the worst nightmare leadership. And that's just like, it's maybe not all of them all like for all of these years, but then there is just one, probably just like that, a little critical moment why we already didn't end up in like nuclear bombing, someone doing the nuclear bombs, but it's kind of like getting there, just that, like and all others. But at the same time, it's also for me, like as someone who can intervene through like demonstrating what is possible, but just trying to tweak the technology. No, I think that it's very exciting. No, like it was, in that sense, the technology, even it's like perceived as like a nightmare through Snowden and whatever. I also feel being a technologist is like great. No, I feel like it's a great time. We are coming back to simple. We are coming back to like playing. Oh, look at this, like 90s. Like you can actually have everything on your laptop. You can you can cut off internet and still have like a great. No, I was doing a mirror of Ubu. I did 1 terabyte through 5G phone in 1 day. No, so I downloaded kind of like 2/3 of mirror of Ubu in 1 day. And then I got scared because my limit is like 1 day. And if it was like a bigger, and then if it went for longer, it is possible that I would just have a fortune to pay, even it's possible. No? So these kind of things. No? So in that sense, the today's is also like exciting from the very specific little niche where you can tweak something, and I still feel that like doing that, I'm happy. No? Like I feel I can just for a second, if I don't really try to imagine the nuclear bombs and their leadership, I feel still like I'm doing something kind of meaningless or just absurd. It's playful. I can derive from there into something great, no? And it's small. It's not great as in grandiose. It's just that it's great. It feels great, no? So in that sense, that's also something which happens in the present. And I feel that in that sense that what actually was going on is that it's something which is very hard to deal with. It's like that extremes are intensifying, and when I say extremes, I think that the oppositions are intense, like the moments, like the extreme ends of some dimensions, multiple dimensions, that both are true, no? Like the worst and the best is true in every possible dimension, and they are intensifying. And then it's very hard to say that the best, which is intensifying, it's just absurd to say this is the best time ever. But if you kind of like also like, I mean like whatever, no? Like if you just say like, I don't have to work, like there are possible moments somewhere, no? Like it's not not for everyone. Like you can just imagine some kind of like, I have no job, I did a great education on somewhere, I have like legalized marijuana, the TV shows are now like the best ever, they compete with the movies, I can get stoned, watch these, you know, like it's kind of like the leisure time like the best ever. And at the same time, yes, it's like if you find yourself there, it's like you also want to die because you feel guilty, because you know that it's not there good or good in, like in that sense, it's really like competing kind of. I just feel that doing nothing was never that great, and at the same time it just feels like that's what I wanted. I wanted a communism in which I do nothing. I'm an anarchist, lazy bastard which do nothing, no? And just like it's great, no? Like also it's great because nothing happens in some way. We can play, it's absurd. And that also is possible. It's not that it's not possible. It's just that the ambient is such a kind of horrible that you can't really like let yourself do that. It's just like it's super intense. I think what is exciting and at the same time scary for me is that how far we can stretch intensifying extremes to its unbearable levels. So I think that it's exciting, as in my brain is excited to see if that's possible. But at the same time, I just got over 50, and I can totally see my body is not anymore there. I will die, no? And I hope in that sense that that I will see 2046, but more than anything else, that I will see my son alive in 2046. And
maintaining
something.
the instance of Ubu. Your son maintaining the instance of Ubu.
That'd be great, yeah. I would totally, it's kind of like, yeah, but it's totally also, yeah, like, no. I also feel like this is maybe also the way how I'm fucking him up. But at the same time, let's keep it as my fantasy. So in that sense, if that can help him to be better there, I'm like totally happy. And of course, in my little fantasy, if he joins it, it's just the best ever. And maybe we also like all die. That's also possible. And I'm laughing, and I don't know, like it's like yeah, it's kind of like fuck it, no.